gonna be a good one, guys.
It's gonna be a great episode.
Stay tuned.
Hey guys.
Hey guys.
Welcome back to the channel. On this episode, we are going to be talking about the 10 mistakes that newcomers, new fish keepers make when they are starting out a new tank. So make sure you subscribe, turn on the bell notifications, and let's get into the video. When we are talking about mistakes that fish keepers make, one of the first ones I think we should talk about is not cycling a tank. Can you first tell me what cycling is?
Well, long story short, fish make waste, bacteria in your tank eliminate that waste and make it safe for the fish. So if people don't let their tank cycle, it's not safe for the fish, and you're going to most likely have a lot of loss quickly.
Just a little side point we need to say is do your research, people.
Do it.
Yes.
It's fun. If you're going to set up one tank, like if this is your main tank, we've talked in the past about patience.
Patience. Patience.
Patience, that's right. So to cycle your tank, it's going to take a few weeks. There's a lot of ways to jumpstart that. If you got a buddy, you can hit them up for some filter media. If you have somebody you know that has an established tank, you can grab some substrate, some gravel out of it.
Yeah.
And all that stuff has a lot of good bacteria that when you put it in the tank will help cycle your tank a lot faster. There are bottled products that have that bacteria in it, and it can really help jumpstart your tank and get it going a lot faster. But you won't know that unless you have a way to test your water. So first things first, grab yourself either some test strips or a master test kit. Both of them work really well to give you an idea of what's going on in your tank.
All right, this moves us on to point number 2. We're going to talk a little bit about how you can care a little bit too much for your fish and a little bit too little. This is what we call a decoration mindset.
Yeah, we've all seen those, right?
We've all seen those.
Cue the picture.
That's right. So, as you can see, a decoration mindset is a glossed over version of what a fish tank should be or could be. The first point we want to talk about is when you care about a fish tank too much. And yes, you can. Can you explain how you do that?
When you get your first tank, you are going to want to test your water every day.
Yeah.
I did that. Remember that?
Yes.
Yeah. So you're going to want to tinker around with it all the time, and that's going to lead to a lot of issues. And the old saying is, leave well enough alone.
That's right, yeah.
If it's not broken, don't fix it.
That's right. You know, doing things a little bit too much, sometimes that means that when you see something go wrong, what does that mean?
You're going to want to run to the pet shop and get every medication imaginable and dump it in the tank and hope it works.
Yeah.
But a lot of the times, especially if your tank has been established and everything's been running smoothly and you see a fish with something weird going on, it could just be he ran into a rock. So adding medication isn't going to do a whole lot.
Yeah.
You know, it's not like a disease or a fungus. You could help prevent it, but it's not something that necessarily needs medicated right this moment.
If you're going to take care of a tank, should you be changing the water every day?
Not every day.
No.
I mean, you can if you want.
Yeah.
It was once a week, 50+%. Now that I've taken a step back, you know, done my test strips, I think we did a first water change today on one tank in 5 weeks.
Yeah.
If everything's set up, it can kind of maintain itself. Just keep an eye on things, do your test strips.
All right. Well, let's talk about now what happens when you care a little bit too little, or as we say, the decoration mindset, when you think that you just buy a box, plug stuff in, and that's it.
The decoration mindset, I always think of bettas stuck in vases.
Yeah.
With, you know, an orchid out of the top.
Yes. That's what I grew up with. I grew up with a vase that had a beta in it and a plant off the top. So make sure that you do research on your own and maybe take care in what you're about to undertake. The next mistake I want to talk about is when you begin to have too many fish in a tank. This is called overstocking. Overstocking occurs when, of course, two fish breed. And when two fish breed, you get babies. When those babies grow up, you start to have a problem in your tank where the tank becomes overstocked, overfilled, and if you don't know what you're doing, can cause a very big headache. So this is why we always say do your research so you don't end up with a tank full of fish, you stressed, and you don't know what to do. The next mistake that a new fish keeper can make is called overfeeding. And this seems like something very easy to avoid, but it is one of the most common problems new fish keepers face. And that is because this is one of the only interactions that you can have with your pet. So they look forward to eating, obviously, and therefore will simulate you with food and get excited when you are around. This becomes something that a lot of fish keepers want to do every single day. The problem is a lot of fish are scavengers and they do not need to be fed every single day. So make sure you research your fish. If you have made it this far in the video, why don't you just subscribe? All right, Editor Me here to talk about the next mistake that a fish keeper can make, and that is mismatching or putting the wrong fish in with another group of fish. If you're putting the wrong breeds of fish together, it can be quite disastrous, or it could work out for the best. The problem is you don't know which it's going to be. And I have two examples. The first example was when we had these Acaras. They were in their own breeding tank and they were living with a group of guppies. And the guppies and the Acaras seemed to live quite harmoniously until the mama Acara had eggs. And then she became quite aggressive to protect her eggs, and some of the guppies were lost. So make sure that you just know what you're doing if you are going to add fish that don't typically go together. Our second example ended a little bit differently. Action.
It's gonna be bad.
You think so?
Some of them are gonna get et.
Well, yeah. What did you think?
I just don't want all of them to get et.
I don't either, but all right.
Ah, go away. Go away, cars. Don't eat that shrimp. Hey, Bert, I gave you food. Those aren't food. Fish are friends.
Could have fooled us. About the next topic we want to bring up is called quarantining.
The fish that you get at the fish shop, you don't really know where they came from.
It's very
Most
true.
likely they came from overseas. So in that short amount of time, they've been in 4, 5, 6 different waters.
Yeah.
And along the way, they could pick up who knows what.
When we are talking about quarantining and when you don't quarantine, you can have some pretty drastic effects.
We thought it'd be a good idea to have a big school of Serpe tetras. What do we got, 18 of them to start with?
Yeah, we got 18 of them.
We thought 18, 2-inch tetras in this tank would look pretty cool. We quarantined them, and all was good for 3 to 5 days. And then after those days, they started dropping like flies.
Oh, it was so sad.
It was awful. We added medications. We kept an eye on everything. And that 18 dwindled down to 5. So we lost 13 tetras. And if we would have added them into our 75, we would have lost all these fish as well.
Yeah.
So you do not want to add those directly into your tank. You want to separate them, keep an eye on them, And if you need to medicate, you can do preventative medications. Usually with your quarantining, you'll probably want to do 2 to 4 weeks, 2 weeks minimum. 4 weeks, that's a good one.
So quarantining is really important. You definitely should know it as a new fish keeper. So this next topic we are going to discuss is undersized tanks for your fish. Or an example like on Amazon.
It's misleading.
Misleading, yes.
The companies that put these together, I don't know why they do it.
I don't
They should know better.
They really should.
But the stocking options that they put on the pictures of the box. First one.
It's the first image here.
That's a good one.
Oh my god.
It is a 2.2 gallon tank.
Yep.
It has two bettas.
They look like males too.
Yep, two male beta. Yeah. Two male betas.
A goldfish.
A goldfish, and some yellow fish that you're not going to be able to find at the pet store.
Yeah, those aren't real fish. Those I think are fish bubbles.
As a new person in the hobby,
yeah,
you're like, you know what? I'm going to get into it. Let me hit up Amazon. I can get a tank here tomorrow.
Yep.
You find this picture. Oh, this is awesome. It's got a humidifier.
Okay.
So, it'll help out you as well as the fish.
Great.
And it's a full system. It's got a heater, a filter, a humidifier. And then you look at the picture and you go,
this is very unrealistic, and definitely 2.2 gallons is not very big at all. So that is not going to be any sort of space for these fish, all of these fish to live in together. This is image number 2, another wonderful Amazon option, as you can see.
Yep, it's the same tank.
It's the same tank. Oh, in black.
Different stocking options.
Okay.
We got 4 fancy goldfish.
Ooh.
In a 2-gallon tank.
If
you are new, that is not enough space.
It's not enough space.
1 fancy goldfish, probably needs 40 gallons.
Yeah.
Can you do less?
Probably.
If you're up on it.
And the goldfish is a juvenile.
No.
Yeah, this is where having knowledge in the fish keeping world would really benefit you as a new fish keeper.
And unfortunately, there is a lot of this
misinformation.
A lot of this type of stocking is on social media.
Yeah.
You get on TikTok and it's like, oh, let's build a new tank.
Yeah.
And you're like, wow, that's a beautiful tank. And then they add 40 goldfish, some glow light, some glowfish, and a catfish, and an arowana. The next one is
a whole kit.
It is a kit.
It's a whole kit, you guys, which is very appealing, especially for a new fish keeper. I can tell you from personal experience, it seems like it's going to be super easy setup, has everything you need. Unfortunately, what it shows you can keep inside of the kit is
guppies and platies. This is a 1-gallon kit.
So yeah, 1 gallon. Let's
so the same size as a jug of milk.
Yes.
Okay. If you're new, shouldn't really hold anything.
No, other than maybe some shrimp and a couple snails.
It'd be a beautiful plant. You get a spotlight plant, a 1-gallon tank.
Yeah.
And you add a couple pond snails. And that could look very beautiful.
That could be very beautiful. If you're wanting to start out real small and easy, you could start out with just some snails in a 1-gallon tank like this. But they make it seem like you can hold all the fish in the world with this little thing.
And this is a big name brand.
Yeah.
And that's pretty awful.
Yeah, that's really bad because they definitely should know what they're doing. We're going to shake our finger at you. Look, let's just do a little side. Let's do a little side note here.
Tangents.
We need a little tangent about plants. I am all for what you can afford. However, I also know, being a new fish keeper that has now become more educated about it, I can tell you it's going to save you more money and be more beautiful in the long run if you were to buy a single pot of a real plant and get a stick off the side of the road and put that in your tank rather than buy all these fake decorations, because they are expensive. And you don't even know if they're going to treat your fish well. They could be extra sharp plastic, which could harm your fish scales, whereas a plant like hairgrass and rotala is not going to do that to your fish.
That's very true. All those long finned fish, they can get torn up pretty quick on that stuff.
You know, having knowledge behind it is really going to save you a lot of money as well.
And time and frustration.
Yeah. The next thing that we are going to talk about on our list of mistakes that new fish keepers make is wrong sized filters. A lot of times you will see, especially on the YouTube channels, you will see a lot of fish keepers having these massive filters and think, gosh, do I need that?
All filters collect waste, whether that be a sponge filter. It collects waste in the sponge. They hang on the back filter, which is what we have here.
Yeah.
It sucks in the waste and it collects it into the boxes outside of the tank. Canister filter collects waste outside of the tank. Can you get too much filtration? Yes and no.
Okay.
Do you need extra filtration? And the answer is usually no. So we have our grow out tanks for our fish breeding, and they just have sponge filter.
As well as a lot of our tanks, our established tanks upstairs, all have what's called sponge filters.
We use sponge filters on our 2 betta tank. Minimal flow, but it filters the tank perfectly. And so the long fin bettas and guppies, they have a really hard time with high current tanks. Gentle is best. And so if you put a big filter on that little tank with that fish that can't swim, he's going to be blown around all the time. And he's going to get worn out.
And stressed.
He will eventually not make it.
Another really important thing that a filter does that I don't think a lot of people think about, or I didn't as a new fish keeper, was it also oxygenates the water in a gentle way. You don't have to have something that's flowing over the top of your water really fast in order to get that aeration. So we're going to show a couple examples of filters.
It's a sponge filter.
A sponge filter, yeah.
Now, it is possibly the world's biggest sponge filter.
Yeah.
In
what, like a 5-gallon?
I don't know. Yeah, maybe about a 5-gallon.
Yeah.
Now, is that too much filtration? No. But it's a lot bigger than you need. A sponge filter half of that size or less, you can hide it behind your fake plants.
Yeah.
And it will do the same job. Save your money.
Save yourself money. You don't need that bigger sponge filter to think that you won't need to change water, for 3 months. No, that's not how it works. Well, let's show the second example. This one is of what's called a canister filter.
It's the Fluval FX6, which by consensus is the best filter on the market. I mean, I think most people would agree that it is, but
for what size tank?
For what size tank? Do you need it?
Yeah.
Because the size of this canister is essentially a 5-gallon bucket. This tank started as an African cichlid tank.
Right.
And it seems that in that community of fish keepers, everybody has
canister filters. And
a lot of them. 75-gallon, 90-gallon, 125 gallons with 2, 3, 4 FX6s. It seems to me like a waste of money.
It seems like a waste.
I mean, everything looks beautiful, so
yeah, which maybe that's the goal, is to make sure that it looks, absolutely pristine at all times. Maybe it's because they've slightly overstocked their fish. That could be a reason. A new fish keeper like yourself, I don't think that you'd need something like this. This is just a huge amount of money to be putting into this if you're just starting out. The wrong sized heaters for your tank. Yes, your tank needs a heater if you did not know that.
So when we first got our 75, it was full of the African cichlids.
Yeah.
I figured African cichlids need hot water because they're in Africa. So I got a 300 watt heater. I think we could have done well with a 200, maybe 2 100s, one on either side. The heater itself, if you think about it, only heats the water up from room temperature.
Yeah.
So if you keep your house at 70 degrees and you want your tank at 75 degrees,
right,
it only has to raise it 5 degrees. So grab yourself a lid. It's going to help you keep your heat in.
That's really important.
Right?
Sometimes I feel like people think they need a big monster heater. Like, we have a few examples We have a 20-gallon long tank with our Blue Dream shrimp in it, and the heater is very, very small, and it keeps that tank perfectly heated.
It is a 25-watt heater.
Only 25
watts. You are a new fish keeper and you haven't jumped into live plants yet. Your fish does not need a light.
That's important to know.
The light is for you to view your fish. So
the first issue that you can have with lighting as a new fish keeper is leaving it on way too long. The first picture that we have, if you get a little bit too much light, is it basically looks like a big box of green Jello. Delicious.
Yeah, so what you see is what's called green water. It is a microscopic algae that free floats in the water. And with that light on, all they do is eat waste, suck up light, and reproduce. And once you have that, it can be really hard to get rid of.
I think it's really important. Do yourself a favor, go to Walmart and get yourself a timer. Timers really, really help in order to keep the lighting down. And there's reasons why.
If a tank is out of your eyesight, you're going to forget it. So this one's down in the basement. I got a timer on it. Comes on and goes off without me doing anything.
Yes.
So that I can guarantee that our plants get the right amount of light every day.
If you like this aesthetic, go for it. It doesn't really hurt the fish.
A lot of breeders will keep a tank of green water going for the benefits of it with their fry.
Yeah.
And there's all sorts of things, but it's not great to look at.
Yeah. So thank you guys so much for joining us today. Hope you guys learned something about, from mistakes. Isn't that what they say? Learn from your mistakes so you don't make more.
Learn from our mistake.
Learn from our mistakes so you don't make them if you're a new fish keeper. And we will see you in the next video. Bye.
Bye, guys.
Hello, everyone. This is a test for... God damn it, these hiccups. Oh, I guess I'm testing. So frustrating to have the hiccups. I can't help it, you guys. Rabbit hole or fish hole, I guess.
Fish hole.
Fish hole.
Subscribe.
Subscribe.